Welcome to the Challenge Chronicles. I'm Devin Jordan. I'm with Trace Armstrong. Rob McIntyre is who knows where
AWOL.
he is right now. He's out on the lam
He's
once
at a
again.
5G protest.
5G protest where he's declaring the city council members deep state. It's come to that point.
We're just kidding for all of you who think we're serious. We're just kidding. Inside jokes.
I think he's currently on his way to Las Vegas to see his boyfriend Drew Lock play this. uh, so it's an eventful time for Rob. We are here to cover the reunion that aired last night. I didn't even see all of it. I know. I mean, I thought about this last night. If you sat there and watched all 3 hours with communion or with commercials, you're a sick fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like you are hardcore.
I DVR'd it and was kind of, I probably watched 70 to 80% of it, but there was just some of it I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then we got to the 2 hour mark and it was over and they just started airing All Stars 2. I'm like, oh, thank God it's over. I could stop.
I forgot to do this. Let's just do this right now before we go on much further. Patron shout outs. Stefan, Jack Reeves. Oh, thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. If you too would like to become a patron, go to patreon.com/the Challenge Chronicles. Subscribe for $4 a month. Get a bonus episode per week. You'll help continue the podcast go on. Back to the reunion. So wait, did they show another episode of All Stars?
It was just episode 1.
And didn't they show episode 1 last week as well?
They did. After the final, they aired episode 1. So for whatever reason, they didn't advertise they were doing this. It just said the challenge 3 hours on the guide, and the reunion ended at 2 hours, and then All Stars 2 episode 1 started playing.
That's so bizarre. I don't get why they decided to do that. So essentially it was 2 parts of the reunion, right? I think somewhere I saw that it was part 1 of the reunion and part 2 of the reunion.
Yeah.
They grouped those together and just lumped in an episode of All Stars. I'm guessing just to beat to gain the DVRs, right?
That's so exactly what it was.
For people,
yeah,
and hopefully people just continue to watch through. I think that's probably a good strategy, but that's definitely pretty deceptive.
It is pretty deceptive. I also wonder too if it was a situation where contractually MTV was like, we need 2 90-minute episodes for this reunion. They started editing the reunion and went, there's no way we can do 3 hours and people not want to put a gun in their mouth. So what if we did 2 and then just tack on All Stars, but don't tell anybody? And MTV's like, fine.
I messaged the 2 of you last night. I thought it was so bizarre that this was filmed not in front of an audience. The entire feel of the stage that they had set up for this was just really creepy. I can't imagine what it was like, one, to be the host of it, which was Maria Menounos, and she always does an exceptional job.
Dude, she is by far the best reunion host they ever get. She is phenomenal at her job.
So she did a phenomenal job, but then I cannot imagine what it would be like to participate in this, right? Because you were essentially acting this out for no one, right? This is all for a group of people that pretty much does this to get attention, right? And I think that's kind of what I thought of when they started to talk with Emmanuel, and they confronted Emmanuel about how he told Michelle and Tori that he loved them, and they were like, why do you do this? Does this just mean less to you? And I'm just thinking, he just wants to get on fucking camera. Like, that's all this comes down to. That's what dictates the majority of the actions of the people on this show. They just want to get on TV.
That's it. Like, and I love how Amanda's like, shut up, Emmanuel. You're just trying to get a call back.
That's what she said.
That's exactly what she said. There was a moment where he started talking and she goes, you can shut up. You're not getting called back. And just like I was like, holy shit. At least she said the truth. I mean, good Lord. We don't need to see him back. He did nothing. He contributed nothing to this season.
I mean, so I guess I saw half of this. Like, in the half that I saw, I'm not even really sure if I learned anything more than I already knew going into this, right? Like, in what you saw, what were you able to glean that we didn't know beforehand coming into this?
There was nothing that I felt was new information to me, at least. And a lot of it is because you and I have learned, and Rob too, I should include Rob, he's not here. So the 3 of us we have really learned to read between the lines on this show. And all of the revelations were stuff that we had assumed that we were correct about. You know, they made game decisions based on friendships and not to win. Like that was really what it boiled down to. People were getting so offended because their friendship outside of the show was being affected by the game that they started making game decisions to like keep their friends safe or whatever, instead of it actually benefiting their game. And CT, as part of his zoom in, and Corey, I actually felt Corey and Amanda were the MVPs of the reunion. And I can't believe I was saying that about Corey. But when he came in, he just was real talk about everything. He, you know, when Devin betrayed him on the show, Corey was just like, or Josh did it. Josh betrayed Corey. And they had that conversation. And it just kept going back and forth. And the more I was listening to it, I was like, no, Corey has the right attitude here. Like Josh is friends with everybody. And then he tells everybody what they want to hear. And then he cries when he has to betray one of them. And it's just like, dude, it's the game. Like you can't make promises to everybody. So don't do that.
I don't know if it works for him. I mean, it worked for him. I couldn't believe we had to relitigate yet again the entire Amber B Big Brother drama, whether or not Amber B is fake. I like in my mind that happened years ago, right?
Yes.
That was part of the season.
Yeah.
That like, actually took place as part of Spies, Lies, and Allies.
Yes, it did.
And
I actually see both sides of the argument, like completely.
I don't know. I think Kaycee, I guess that was one piece that we did learn that Kaycee brought up that I think is definitely pivotal to what happened between Big Brother and Amber B, and that we weren't necessarily aware of.
Yeah.
That before the game started, Amber B was apparently screaming like "screw Big Brother," or I don't even remember exactly what Kaycee said, but Amber B pretty much made it seem like she would not work with Big Brother, and so Amber B enters the game, and Kaycee's argument is, if that's the attitude that you had before the game, how am I supposed to trust you, right? I think that's very valid.
It's a very valid point, like completely valid point. And sorry, everybody, I've got like nasal drip, so I apologize for the visual you're getting right now.
He was just doing a little nose candy last night, you know.
No, that is a joke. That is a joke, everybody. I was out drinking on a patio and I got too cold.
Where did you go eat?
Oh, we were just at a local bar. We weren't eating. We guys met up for Christmas and we hung out, and I sat on a patio in 32-degree weather for 3 hours with a little heater, and that was stupid.
Someone was telling me that those heat lamps are, you may have told me this, or it was someone else, that those heat lamps that they have at restaurants are shockingly cheap.
Oh yeah, dude, I have one in my house. It's like $100 on Amazon. It's worth every penny too, man. Because if you, like me in the wintertime, I stick mine out on my back deck and it will heat the whole deck for like 4 people. Like it's great. And all it costs you really is $100. I paid like $20 for a cover, and then you have to buy a propane tank. So, you know, $50, and then it's $20 for a refill moving forward.
Do they just rip through propane though?
It can, yeah. So like I use it probably twice a week, and I'll go through a propane tank about once a month. That's $20 a month. It's not terrible.
All right.
But then there are some people that use it every day and they're going through propane every week. So it just depends.
So Amber B cries yet again.
Ugh.
She is dismayed about what happened between the Big Brother Alliance and her. I don't even remember what Fessy's take on this was. I think Fessy said something about it. I think it was just that he didn't trust her, right?
Yeah, that was all he said, was he just didn't trust her.
I thought it was funny when Huey tried to say all the people in the house who didn't say that Amber B was fake, and he somehow included Josh in one of the people who said that she was fake or didn't necessarily stick up for Amber B. And there was fireworks there. Josh vehemently denied that. I didn't really get what Huey was trying to get at. I don't know. I guess
Huey was trying to get at that, like there would be a group of people in the room and they would all be talking about Amber B as fake, but then people like Josh wouldn't defend her or say anything. They would just either smile or nod along. So his point was, if you disagree, you should say something. If you aren't saying anything, then you must at least to some point agree with the group in the room.
I think that's complete bullshit. I don't think it's Josh's responsibility to stick his neck out there and put himself out front to defend Amber B and potentially jeopardize his game.
That's
right?
exactly the way I feel. It's different if you're not involved in a game and someone's knocking your friend like that. When you're inside of a game, you can't do that, even if you disagree, because then you start picking sides. And truthfully, the best way to get through the challenge is to have a side picked, but keep it real quiet and just kind of skate through.
I mean, I think that's something that we've heard from Brad and listening to Johnny's podcast. If you listen to this podcast and you don't listen to Johnny's podcast on Spotify, I think it's on iTunes as well. I would definitely recommend it. Yeah. And that's something that he brings up. And I think he brought up on the episode that he did with Brad, which I thought was very good. I still need to finish the rest of it. But he talked about how you have to kind of pick a side. You pick a side and you ride to the end with that side. And that's kind of in opposition to the way that some people try and play, right? Where they try and be friends with everyone. And through the process of being friends with everyone, eventually they do have to pick a side. And that's where it gets really messy, right?
And that's why the Josh Corey situation was so fascinating to me, because like Josh was trying to defend himself and he just made himself look worse, in my opinion, because it was like, hey, they showed the conversation where Corey and Nelson were talking and saying, I don't think Josh really does have our back. I think he's got his own agenda. And Nelson was like, yeah, I think you're right. And Josh chose Logan over Corey, even though he and Corey have worked together before and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it just gets messy. Like you can't be nice to everybody in this game. Like you have to, unfortunately, sometimes vote your friends in. And the question mark becomes, well, do I vote in the person whom I've just spent time with? Or do I vote in the person who I've played with before and probably will play with again? Like, to me, it's a no-brainer. You stick with the people you've played with before, because you don't know if Logan's going to get asked back yet.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope they ask none of these people back. I think that's my takeaway from this, is that depending on what happens going into next season, when we start to see the cast come out and who will be brought back, I think that will probably dictate a lot about what we do on this podcast. I don't know if I can make it through again. I might have to we might have to bring in one more person and I can cover Survivor with them and we can come up with some type of rotation, but I don't know if I can make it through another 19 episodes of this.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that's giving me hope is who's getting calls for next season. And at the end of the reunion, TJ came on and dropped a really big, I think, little Easter egg hint. And I'm hoping that it happens. So we'll cover that when we get to, we'll go ahead and cover it then. So TJ comes on from an undisclosed location doing quote unquote challenge activities. Now, if you look at the dates of when the reunion were, they were filming All Stars 3 while this reunion was going on. So TJ zoomed in from, I think Panama was where they were. I can't remember where they filmed All Stars 3. I think it's Panama. Anyway, he basically told the entire cast, you better be ready. And so my hunch is that we are going to start to see some of the all-stars cross-pollinate into the main show, because I mean, we've seen the male cast for All Stars 3. I mean, Jordan, Wes, you name it, like they're there, and Bananas was almost there. So I think we're about to get a huge vet season for number 38, and that's why they pushed it from January back to March, is they're clearing the deck to make this happen.
At this point, not only are the people that they cast on All Stars better from an overall character perspective, but physically, in a number of cases, they're better as well, right? Yeah. We talked about this during the last All Stars discussion for episode. I don't recall what episode we're on for All Stars.
We're on number 7.
But Jody, at this point, has proven to be a better competitor than pretty much any of the women that are currently on the main show.
It's
right?
The truth. Like, she is by far heads and shoulders above everyone else that was on this cast.
And even when you look to the men, there are a number of men that are better competitors than a lot of the men that were on this season. At the top,
Darrell. I mean, I would even throw Latarian in there. I know we joke about it, but like, I think Latarian's better than a lot of these people. And, you've also got MJ. I mean, there's some real heavy hitters that could come on and contribute now.
Well, even Jordan, right? I mean,
Jordan now, yes, because he's on All Stars 3 that hasn't aired yet.
I mean, I would take Mark Long over a lot of these people. I know there's a lot of people not on the Mark Long bandwagon.
Derek Kay, same thing, even though he's annoying the crap out of me on All Stars.
But I mean,
he's still worth casting on the main show competitively.
And I think they're a lot better than a lot of the people, especially some of the rookies that they've casted. I think that's one aspect that I hope they look at themselves in the mirror and think a lot about. And that's whether or not it was worthwhile to bring this large number of rookies on this season. And I hope that they come back and decide that it was a complete failure. Yeah. Because I don't know if anyone can justify that this was a success.
No. And can we just talk about this now? That ending with Emmy singing Alien and the whole cast wearing Alien shirts and holding glow sticks. I don't know what the fuck they're trying to attract at this point. Like 12-year-old girls. Like, and here's the thing. Emmy lip synced like the first minute of this. I can't believe I sat through this whole thing. Emmy lip synced like the first bit because it was so auto-tuned to death. I wanted to just rip my ears out. And then when she actually started singing, it was like she was talk rapping. And it just was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know who they think they're appealing to here. It's almost like some 40-year-old person is like, this is what the kids are into today. Let's do this. And they're just way off the mark. Like, it was cringe city. And I can imagine CT is sitting at home going, I'm so fucking glad I wasn't there, because I would not have wanted to put on an Alien shirt and a glow stick and dance around with Emmy. Like, it was like when Fonz jumped the shark on Happy Days. That was the way it felt to me. It was like, they should never fucking do this. And yet here we are.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that they need to look at the show, see what's actually working, right? Take the things that actually are working, and everything that isn't working, just kick it to the curb, right? It doesn't matter if you've done it forever. It doesn't matter if we've
got a run in. We've got a Rob McIntyre sighting.
Something's happening, everyone.
There's a disturbance in the force.
Rob McIntyre, are you with us?
We are live, sir. We're recording.
Oh,
so welcome to the show.
You're over the rails today.
Hot mic,
but you're good. We were just talking about the Emmy Alien performance.
Okay, I was gonna say, did we complain about that yet, or have we not gotten
that? We're right in the middle of it. Devin was making a point about something, and then we'll let you chime in on this because I want to hear your take. Go, Devin.
So I still have not seen the Emmy Alien performance. If it's anything like Trace described, it sounds like a masterpiece that the show has never seen before. Rob, what was your take on it? Rob.
I lost you again. I apologize.
It's okay. What was your take on the Emmy Alien performance?
I mean, if I wasn't doing this show, I definitely would have skipped past it. Like, I just, not much, really. I'm curious how much she got, or how much she paid MTV for this promo, if she did it for a single. I mean, it seemed like the cast had fun while they were there, but like, I could not care less, man.
I was telling Devin that it was the jump the shark moment of the show. Like, would you ever in a million years, let's go back to Rivals 1, okay? Can you imagine the cast from Rivals 1 putting on glowing alien shirts, dancing around while someone lip syncs for a minute and then starts not lip syncing, but it's like talk rapping, and then them all just dance around like it's the greatest thing ever?
This is a little bit of inside baseball for everyone, but before the reunion last night and yesterday when we discussed about what we would record for this episode, Rob jokingly said we should just watch the Rivals 2 reunion. And I knew he was joking, but I was like, you know what, that's not a bad idea. And we thought about just watching the Rivals 2 reunion, giving, I think, what everyone of our patrons would want, and a lot of the people that listen to the show would actually want us to talk about. we didn't do it. We fucked up. We should have done
We
it.
should have. I mean, good
Man,
lord.
this reunion sucked, man. Like it was just bad. Like it was all just like weird, like Bad Girls Club style drama that I didn't care about at all. There was no like anything about alliances in the house. There wasn't even anything really funny. Like, did you laugh at all during this reunion?
No.
Not like
I
maybe once or
cringed a
twice.
lot. Like I cringed, like just ugh.
Everyone seemed very vitriolic and hateful. Like, I mean, if Amanda wasn't there, like people probably gave her some shade for how she acted, but I don't know what else they would have talked about.
I'll be quite honest with you. If Amanda wasn't at this reunion, they wouldn't have had a reunion because there was nothing to talk about.
I don't know what they would have done. She was the MVP of the season and she was the MVP of this reunion. There was all the conversation about what happened between her and Fessy, what happened between her and Tori, about what happened. Her and Michelle. I mean, she was pretty much like the arbiter of the entire narrative.
I take away from this episode that Fessy is a single douchebag. And if you're a female thinking about dating him, you should run far away because this dude literally is just going to screw anything that comes across his path. And that's fine if that's what he wants to do and he's single, but don't I actually am fully on Amanda's side here. Don't come to me and say that you are an idiot and you want to make it work and that you can change. And then after she gets on the plane, go screw somebody after your fight. Like it just dude, you can't have your cake and eat it too, my friend.
So in one season we have Amanda, Bettina, Tori, and Michelle. Like that's a pretty stacked lineup. That's pretty crazy. So, but I really thought this reunion was not good. I didn't think Maria Menounos did a bad job. I thought their format was terrible.
I thought I brought this up already, and I brought it up in our text message thread. I thought the set that they were on was like creepy. It was
really weird. Yeah,
it was like a Dr. Evil type set, and it didn't seem like very conducive for just like.
Why was she so far away from the rest of the cast?
I think it was COVID related. They were just trying.
But the rest of the cast wasn't that far away from each other.
Yeah,
I mean, like Maria Menounos is like in the middle, and the rest of them is like 20 feet away.
I don't know. All I know is that they spent a lot of money to get that set built. That's what was crazy to me. Is like that was not cheap to do what they did, and then it's like, okay.
So there was one part that I do remember that I don't know if I would say that I laughed. I don't recall. It may have been a chuckle, but I did think it was funny when someone asked Kyle if he won because he was in second place with Tori. If he won, if he would have decided to split the money with people. And I think CT was like, no fucking way. Because Kyle's
he was like, I don't trust Kyle.
Someone made the comment that there's no way Kyle's splitting the money.
I mean, I think Tori definitely would have wanted to, though. I don't know how that would have worked at that point.
I think he would have, but I don't know that they would have given away as much as CT and Kaycee did. I think everybody would have gotten 10 or 20 grand. Or
the other thing that bothers me. So I've listened to a couple of podcast episodes recently just about the season in general. Tori did one Challenge Mania. I thought was very good. They had Devin on the Tori and Anissa episode podcast today, and they talked about a couple of things, and all of them talked about how fun the season was. They're like, oh, the season was great. Everybody had a great time. We're all partying around. All these funny things happen. They actually describe a couple of things that happened in the house that did seem funny, and they just don't air it. They don't. I mean, we got the. Did you guys see the shit they should have shown that they had on the YouTube page?
They have a shit show on the YouTube page?
Well, okay, so they have what's called a shit they should have shown. They air no clips. It's just pairs of people talking about things that happened in the house that were funny. They don't even air them. Like, you have 1,000 cameras in the house. Just put it on TV.
I don't get why. I don't get what they're doing. So, I mean, they obviously need to show more of that type of footage for us to get more enjoyment out of the show, right? So I think it's definitely possible that they're leaving a lot on the cutting room floor there. And that's kind of the same type of thought that I had with TJ when we didn't talk about this during the final episode, but Nelson loses the final elimination. He has to go home. He's devastated. TJ goes up to him and talks to him about how, just take it a day at a time. And it's going to get to the point where you don't even think about this anymore. And it gets a lot better. I thought that was one of TJ's better moments in years. And it made me think that there are probably numerous instances like that where TJ gives us good content and kind of not necessarily expands on his role as a host, but shows a little bit more charisma and personality. And we just don't get it because the editors and production decide that for whatever reason, it's not necessarily what they want to portray.
I think in particular these past few seasons, they've wanted him to be kind of this overlord, that's without emotion.
The spy master, head of the CIA.
Exactly. The fucking
Yeah.
handler, what is this bullshit? The handlers, the cells, get this garbage the fuck out of here.
It's just what that's just what I really think of. So much of the problems with this show are from executives who don't know what's going on. It's the equivalent of when like the Lakers are bad because their owners suck and their owners meddle in things. They don't let people who know what they're doing actually do what they should be doing.
So the Washington
You know,
football team as well.
Yeah, with Dan, exactly. You see so many sports franchises with owners that are bad that cause problems. I think that's so many of the issues that we have.
There's too many hands in the cookie jar that think they know what the challenge should be. And it's like, no, the challenge has been on for 37 years and it was successful for 30. And then it had a couple bright spots and now it's back in the toilet again. Like we're in Final Reckoning territory again with this show. Like I'm hoping that next season, if it's going to be what I think it is, that it's a War of the Worlds type season where we're just blown away by how good it is.
I think the next season has 1,000 different directions it could go. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think we can assume any.
Sorry for the people that have already heard us talk about this, but I want to bring Robin on this. So the TJ thing at the end of the episode was so revealing to me because he said he was from a secret location. The dates line up. He was filming All Stars 3 is where he was when he zoomed in. And then he told everybody on the stage to be ready for more challenge things like that coming. I really think that All Stars cast members are heading to season 38.
Well, we'll just have to. I mean, that might be who they need to. Like, they might force their hand. You know what I mean? Like, that
well,
just
the
might
All
be who
Stars being
left.
so much better, I think you have to bring them.
Well, there's
in now.
that, and it seems like a lot of the main. I guess that's hard to do the show at this point. Like, I mean, it's just 3 months long. Who has that?
Don't do a 3-month-long season. We've talked about this. Accelerate the filming. It's
Wow.
easy. All Stars has shown us you can have 24 fucking people on a season and be done in 3 weeks.
I mean, we've seen it from All Stars and we've seen it from Survivor too. That's exactly what Survivor did this last season.
And earlier seasons of the show that aren't even that long ago.
It took Survivor from 39 days to 26 days. And so pretty much in every instance, we've seen that a shorter season is more successful, right? When have we seen a longer season be more successful? And necessary and it be successful because of that
The length of time. Yeah.
I would say War of the Worlds 1 and Dirty 30 are the two.
Is one of the
examples.
ones that won that long of an
It's 15 episodes.
It's 16 episodes, but at each an hour. That's still a lot shorter than what it is now.
Yeah, that's still
true.
significant.
That's fair. I forgot about the fact that
19.
90 minutes didn't really come into play until we got to
That was War of the Worlds 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, like, how long did it take to film it?
World of
I don't
Worlds.
know. I don't think it was as long as some of the others.
It was
I could be
like
wrong.
8 to 10 weeks compared to 12 to 14, which is what
Okay.
Spies, Lies, and Ally. But that's also because they shut down for quarantine and they had to
That-
quarantine
that's
ahead of
fair.
time. So like it adds what would be an 8 to 10 week filming is now 12 to 14 because of quarantines.
Yeah. I mean, what did you guys really have to take away from it? There was nothing to me that was like they didn't ask them, like, did you guys ever think about putting CT in? That wasn't even a question at all.
Nope.
One
No
other
one
thing
ever
that was
mentioned
it's been really odd to me with this season is Kaycee and Nani's elimination was like this big culmination, but I feel like we never got the relationship at all throughout the season.
we got their
the
we got their date.
the fake date, and that was it.
We did get a little bit of it. And I think
But it was never like conflict though.
no, never. I mean, and I think that's why they didn't show it, right? Is because they were pretty much on the same page the
That's
entire
fair.
time. They went through the season pretty much unabated. This was one of the
Nobody touched them.
This was one of the most dominating wins of all time for Kaycee.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In the end, at no point was it ever mentioned that she would be an elimination, right? That someone would throw her in, or that someone would even call her in. At
Yeah.
no time.
The
And this
only
is
time
19 episodes.
the only time she went in was in the final with the janky elimination twist.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah, but so because like I even think about like back to War of the Worlds 2, which is a season I have some mixed feelings on. But like with the couples that season, we had 4, I think, really dynamic couples. We had Polly Cara, Tori Jordan, Cam Leroy, and Dee Rogan. All of them were distinct, but we also got a lot of them what happened. And it wasn't even necessarily strife like, you know, Cara and Polly arguing necessarily as much as we saw their place in the game. We saw them strategize. We saw them deal with different things. I mean, maybe that just didn't happen to the two of them, but I felt like we could have gotten a little bit more of that if Kaycee ended up winning. And that was such a big culmination point for them.
But I also think that that's part of the role that Kaycee plays and the way she plays the game. Like she even said on the reunion, she's like, I don't say anything, you know, like I keep my mouth shut and I do this and I do that. And I only open up to certain people. And so like, there's nothing to show. And then on top of that, her and Nani's relationship was already in place and active before they even showed up for filming. So it's not like you're getting we're meeting or finally getting together. It was like they were already together. So there's no drama to it. It's just them together on the show. And then Kaycee's way of playing the game is the right way to play, by the way, but it's not necessarily entertaining as a viewer. So what do? It's not Dee and Rogan who meet on the show and get all lovey-dovey. It's not Jordan and Tori where Jordan's proposing to Tori. And then you've got Pauly and Cara, but Pauly is just a keg of dynamite on the show. So he's going to be in the middle of everything.
Robin brought this up before in our last episode when Kaycee won. And I've thought about it since then, about whether, like, where does Kaycee rank all time? Is she a top 5 male competitor of all time? I don't know. I've thought about it. I definitely think it's possible because she's only been on 3 seasons. She's made it to 3 finals. And in each of those instances, they're pretty dominant appearances where she's controlled the flow of the game. I don't really remember in Total Madness exactly what happened, Rob, but I think even then there was pretty much no real conflict with her potentially not making it to the end of the game.
I think the hard thing with Total Madness is that it was such a weird season. There were very few people who really were on the bad end of it politically. Like it was like J, D at different points. Like it wasn't like there were a lot of people who were in consistently adverse situations. But yeah, I think like her resume and Emily Strong's are very similar. Like if you just look at it statistically, they have 3 seasons, won all their eliminations they've ever been in. She's better politically than Emily though.
So let's pivot slightly here and let's discuss what pretty much everyone listening at this point wants to hear our feedback on. So if Fessy and CT were in a boxing match, 1, what would be the line? And 2, who would win?
Are they meeting at a certain weight?
Well, I mean, I think that they would have to be heavyweights, right? Because how much do you...
I think Fessy weighs much more than him is what I'm getting at.
I know, that's what I mean. But like, what if you're at the heavyweight threshold, right? It's like you're over a certain weight, and then the cap is extremely
205 to 265.
No, but you're supposed to, like, let's say they're within 6 pounds of each other at the time of boxing. Would we be able to do that?
No, I don't think they have to though.
No, they don't. They just have to they just have to be at least 205, and they can't be heavier than 260.
I mean, they can do whatever they want. Like it's their own private boxing.
And it's an exhibition, so it wouldn't be sanctioned, so it doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. Is that are they meeting at the same weight or no?
Let's just say they're meeting where they're at right now.
Yeah, like no. So they can weigh whatever the fuck they want to weigh.
I just think physically that's hard to overcome for CT. As much as I think if they met at the same weight, I think CT would win.
I think CT wins, and I think he'd be the favorite just because Fessy might be bigger and he might have played football, but CT's just a freak. Like he just has conditioning and cardio, and he'd probably wear Fessy down, and then that would be it.
Fessy also has boxed before, he was in a celebrity box match not long ago where he won pretty convincingly. I think he's in the ring a little bit now.
Yeah.
And I think like the weight thing is just a different factor to me.
Mm-hmm.
Third question: how much would you pay to see it?
Not as much as you think. I don't care that much.
I don't care.
I would pay $20.
I guess
if they did it, I would pay it to cover it like we would for the podcast, but like I wouldn't voluntarily pay for it.
What if they asked you to be ringside commentator, Rob?
Oh, I would definitely do that.
Oh, I would do that.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
Am I allowed to fight somebody during the boxing match too, or no?
You're gonna fight Pauly.
Are we meeting at the same weight or no?
No, Rob. Here's the thing. I'm gonna sweeten the deal for you.
It's gonna be you and Pat Mayo is the undercard.
No.
Okay, well,
if you're commentating, Rob,
I'll do that.
If you're commentating, Rob, your color commentator is Montana.
Oh God.
It's gonna be
thank you.
The commentating crew is gonna be the 3 of us, Maria Menounos and Mosley.
That's a good crew. That's a good crew.
Actually, you know what? I would like to watch Mosley and TJ go at. Well, no, because TJ had the head injury. Never mind. That's not funny.
Yeah. I'll be the undercard with Gus or whoever wants to fight me.
Yeah, you and Gus can fight. I'd pay to watch that. Like, I would pay $50 to watch you and Gus box. That would.
I don't know if people know that I'm in the gym every day. I'm in good shape. Like I can squat 270. I did 12 reps with 275 yesterday, and I weigh 145. So like I'm in good shape. But I just need people to come meet me in my weight class.
Do you think you would be able to take Montana?
Yeah, but I also think I wouldn't want to be in the same like location as Montana.
The problem
so that'd be
is that
difficult.
Rob would fall asleep boxing Montana.
That's
'cause he's
exactly
so
that's my
bored.
point. Yeah, I think I can't be in the same location as Montana.
We brought, or I brought this up on a thread between, I think it was the three of us and Pat. Who wins in a hall brawl between Rob and Ayana?
I think I could handle myself with Diana, but
She
I
just has
also
too much size on you. She's so much bigger than you.
how much more does she weigh than me?
Dude, I bet you she's over 200.
No.
Yeah, dude, she's big. She's
I
tall.
would put her in the 180, 190 range.
No, she's way bigger. I'm
That's a lot of weight, man.
because the thing is, what did you say? You weigh 145?
I'm between 145 and 150.
The thing is Rob
She's
would
got
cover more
50
distance
pounds on you?
faster.
I think I could be okay.
You got 50 pounds on you, Rob.
We don't know how much we don't need to have this discussion.
I think she's over. I think she's over that too. That's a thing. I would pay to see that. We should start a GoFundMe for Rob.
But I'm not doing that. I'd rather
Rob
box
versus
Gus or
Ayana.
Paulie than do a hall brawl. I'm not doing that. I'm
Rob
not
versus
agreeing with
Ayana and Hall Brawl. Winner gets to choose which charity they give the money to.
I'm definitely.
No.
Yeah, we're not doing that. One thing I really did want to talk about too, only before we get out of here. So on Tori's Challenge Mania interview, she mentioned a couple things. One that the post they did at the end, that none of them took any longer than like 6 seconds to put it in. They just put it in and did it. There was no like trying to remember the code or anything. That didn't make sense to me when it aired.
They just made it more dramatic and made
Yeah,
it
like just
terrible.
editing chicanery. Because like that didn't make sense to me when it aired. Like you're gonna put in the wrong code a bunch of times and get the right one without going back up. Like I don't know how that happens really. And she also said that her and Kyle were ahead for a decent amount. And there was a point where they had to grab this like flag that they didn't air. And so the PA pointed them in a certain way, but then I guess there was a miscommunication between the Kyle and the PA with how they pointed. So Kyle jumped off this like cliff into this divot, and Kyle was like in this divot looking for this flag, and Tori's like, it's not there. So then that's when Kaycee, because remember there was a point in time where you could see Tori ahead of Kaycee. And that's when Kaycee passed them, and then Kaycee and CT were able to get to the
So damn. So if the PA hadn't misdirected Kyle or Kyle didn't mishear the producer, they probably would have won.
It's potentially, and that's just what she's saying. But I did think that was interesting.
Because at the same time, we don't know how close it was, right? We saw them, like Rob said, type in the code a bunch of times. That clearly didn't happen. We really don't know.
They all said that they were like, Devin said this too, that Tori, and I don't know how he knows because he wasn't there, but Tori and Kyle were like 15 seconds behind. Like they were close.
Yeah, because when they were when CT and Kaycee were running up to the keypad, you could see Tori and Kyle behind them by like 50 yards.
And then if they all did it instantaneously, then they would have been right behind.
The other part that we didn't bring up, I know that we discussed this amongst ourselves, and someone told me this, a friend told me this last week, but on the first day, so episode 18, the last puzzle before they were able to choose which teams that they were on, the line puzzle, right? The wire puzzle.
Oh, we should have brought this up. Yeah.
There were multiple people who were unable to complete that without the help of production. So production essentially stepped in, helped them complete it just to continue the final. And one, I want to know who it was. And two, I think there should be some type of penalty for that in the same way that there should have been some type of penalty for Nelson essentially being needed to be saved during the swimming portion.
Well, what Devin said is that he was the first one done, and it took him 15 minutes still to finish it. Like it still took him a really long time. And I think he even had some assistance from production. So I'm curious if at that point, if there was some issues with how it was designed, if it took everyone that long and everyone needed the PAs to step in. And he said too, it was like Devin finished, and then CT was a couple minutes behind him, and then Tori was like 40 minutes behind them. Like it was like a long time. So maybe there was just an issue with it too. We've seen a couple of times they've actually had puzzles that were designed inappropriately.
Don't work.
Yeah. Like I mean, how did like that, which is unacceptable by the way to me. Like remember Will of the Worlds 2, the puzzle, the tangram at the very end that neither team could do. I think there was somebody at the end of that who said that like they just messed that one up. Like it was just wrong.
Kind of like how Braden did
like it was
elimination correctly, and then they had to, pay him some money later for screwing up.
I mean, how far off is this from the WWE at some point with these things? I guess it's different. I think
it's closer to that than a lot of people think it is.
It's not scripted, but it's also like there's just so many just rampant production manipulation and errors, and not even manipulation like trying to produce a certain result, just weirdly and poorly designed things.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, let's start to bring this home. So before we go, there's one other thing I wanted to bring up from the reunion. One thing that actually, like, I had to give Amanda huge props for this, besides the fact that she was just the MVP of the reunion, because it would have been dead without her. She was talking about how, you know, she was done with Fessy after the Dallas incident. She specifically talked about how, you know, whoever she dates and is with, you know, she has to take her son into account for it because he's going to be a male role model for her son. And so, like, she can't mess around with people like Fessy because that's just not good, because she has to take that into account. I thought that was really cool and brave of her to say that out loud on stage, because that's a tough, bitter truth to have to tell people. And I was very, like, I'm a much bigger Amanda fan than I already was after this reunion. Even though I feel like she's overboard, like, she needs to put a little bit of a filter on, like, just a little bit, because she's wrong.
I thought the thing with her saying Emmanuel wants a call back when he's trying to step when Amanda's in 85% of the segments that are on the reunion was a bit much. Like, he's just trying to talk. Like, at least he's willing to talk on like half the people on the stage. Like, and that's what we need. We need people to actually.
That was
like,
the one
contribute to these
thing
things.
that
Yeah.
I did laugh about. I will say this made me laugh throughout the reunion. You could just see on Michelle's face, I have made a mistake doing this show. I should not be here. I am never doing this again. Like,
How did I get involved with these people?
yeah, like, she was like, fuck
I already
this
made-
thing.
I already
They're
made
gonna-
$1 million. Do I
Yeah,
really
they're
do this? Why?
they're gonna
why-
need to up her paycheck. Apparently.
She ain't coming back. I guarantee.
No, I think she would come back. She liked everything non-Amanda related. She seemed to like a lot of the other parts of the show. It's funny. I do think like Tori, Amanda, and Michelle would be like three of the women I would actually want back from this season.
They've just created an environment where people don't want to be back, right? They need a environment where people are excited to do the show.
But like you say that, but like I said, we just saw all these things where Tori and Issa and Devin were talking on their episode about all the fun things they had this season, how everyone liked being there.
They're just
like
editing
different parts
it
of being there.
You think that's the consensus for everyone that was on the show?
No, I don't think it's a consensus by any means, but I think that's the opinion of a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, and even I'll take in my personal interaction with CT when I met him. You know, he's like, this next season's gonna be really good, man. And then it started airing, and I was like, what the fuck? You know, like, granted, I did kind of know he was going to win, because when he said it's going to be a good season, he gave me a real exaggerated wink. So it was like a pretty good cue that he was probably going to win.
I got duped in all these bets, apparently.
That's why I didn't bet on the winner. If you noticed, I try to stay out of bets where I think I know what's going on. So I try to be fair. I could take advantage of you, and I didn't.
But before we got up here too, we have to do a quick outfits recap with this one. With the Prince outfit that Emmanuel was wearing was just, what that was crazy.
Well,
yeah, like that was.
How much money did he spend on that outfit? Because that could not have been cheap.
I don't know. How much do you think they get comped for the outfits?
I bet you that was way less than you actually think. I bet it was made out of tinfoil. You know, like
Emmy made it in her basement.
I think it's one of those outfits that you can't. It's not an outfit. It's a costume, right?
Yeah,
that's what they call it. Yeah,
it was made to be worn once or twice, right?
It's just gonna fall apart when he takes it off.
Yeah.
There's that. There's also the fact that, like, I know CT was filming the show, but I have to think that they were like, all right, CT, you need to wear a suit, and he's like, well, I'm not showing up then. I'll just radio in with my sweater.
Well, he was
on.
filming the movie. He literally couldn't be there. So he was in a hotel room wherever he was filming the movie.
Nelson also was wearing like 7 different layers. If you saw it, he had like a scarf with like 2 jackets, two other shirts. There was a lot going on there.
I did appreciate that Nelson owned what he did. Like, that was really cool. Like, so many people try to double talk their way out of it. He's like, no, I did it.
You kind of have to. It's on TV.
That was nice, but at the same time, I did not need to go over the Nelson Burner relationship again.
No,
I need to spend zero.
I thought they were fun.
In my life, I never need to hear about that again.
I didn't think that they were a bad couple.
I just hope and pray that next season we don't get Nelson's boot camp followed by Corey's boot camp later in the season. Like, I just really don't
like the boot camps. Corey's boot camp was fun. When they're all like, when Kyle's like not participating and Corey's like struggling to get everyone rallied together. Nelson's like wearing all his Ruby gear.
I feel like while that all was going on, CT was having a cigarette on the steps going.
And then so when they talked about the couples that we didn't see, and they mentioned Kells and Tori, for when that was aired.
That was aired.
But also, like, Nelson had yelled Kells, AKA, and they didn't like AKA anything afterwards. He just said Kel's also known as when they were saying who are the other couples that were not there, which I thought was funny.
All right.
All right,
Last
guys.
words.
Last bit.
Literally the last words you will ever say about Spies, Lies, and Allies. We will
And
never Spies, Lies, and Allies again after this.
No,
We've
it'll
covered it.
probably it'll come up in future things, I'm sure, to some degree. I don't know. Again, like I need to say, I'm actually really gonna look at it for me and see where I'd put this season with the other ones, because there were elements I did enjoy. Even if this finale to me again was, I thought this final was one of the 2 or 3 worst the show has ever done. I thought it was that bad, and I thought that the end result actually delegitimized a lot of the storylines they've been building throughout the season. So that's a real black mark for me.
Okay. Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays. We wish everyone a safe couple of weeks as they travel around wherever they need to go and be with family. So thank you for your listening, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.